Your dreams are divinely inspired. Trust them. Your dream, if it's desired by you, it is destined for you. Spirit doesn't give you dreams randomly. Your spirit isn't born with these dreams randomly. Every person has a dream for themselves. Welcome to the Story of Spirit podcast, where practical spirituality meets real life. Hi, I'm your host, Sheetal Story. I'm a psychic medium, grief support counselor, professional astrologer, and a human design reader, and of course, a law of attraction master coach. With my unique blend of spiritual and practical tools, I am here to help you align with your soul-led purpose and ignite a life that sets your soul on fire. In this podcast, we are going to explore the principles of energy, astrology, spirituality, and psychology to help you heal your grief and create an aligned life and business from the inside out. Whether you are looking to deepen your intuition, understand your cosmic design, or transform your business, this podcast is for you. Join me each week for insightful discussions, practical tips, and inspiring stories that will guide you on your journey to living your very best life. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on Instagram at Sheetal Story or wherever you listen to this podcast. Let's dive in and start this transformative journey together. Welcome to the Story of Spirit podcast. 5 things that Spirit wants you to know right now. This was literally downloaded. I meant to speak about this today, and when it's hitting your ears, it's the right and perfect moment. But right now, at the time that I'm recording this in March of 2025, this is a very turbulent time. There is so much happening. Everyone I talk to is moving through something really hard. Like, not just like, oh, life isn't going great. Like, somebody's dying, somebody is dead. I'm going through a divorce. I am in a dark place. I really need support. There is a lot of need right now in the collective. And if this is you, then this is meeting your ears at the right and perfect moment. And if this is not you, then I'm going to say this is meant for someone you know, because it is very, very strongly coming in. Now, as I'm recording this, we've just had the Virgo full moon eclipse, and 2025 in this energy is a lot of moving things that are ready to go or maybe not ready to go. I keep getting the imagery of like clogged pipes or pipes that have a lot of gunk in it, and the universe is pushing through so much energy right now to move that stuff out of the way. And as a result of that, there is a lot of stubbornness. I don't want to change. This is the way I've always done things. So the universe is handing out diagnoses and, transitions like it was candy right now. So, I mean, I know that's that it's kind of funny, but it's not funny because it feels really hard when you're in it. And if you've listened to, my previous podcast, I was literally recently in the hospital with someone close to me for an emergency surgery. That is like an example of what is happening. I literally have had so many people reach out about divorces, diagnosis, people passing away suddenly. And it is bringing up a lot of like, what is the opportunity in this? Because when we look back into the past and ask for what's the reason, I really dislike the saying, everything happens for a reason. And if you want to see me get a little bit, you know, a tick, just say everything happens for a reason, because I will then volunteer, unsolicited, that everything actually happens for an opportunity. And I learned that in my meditation teacher training in my 20 hour, 25 hour, whatever that certification was. My amazing teacher at the time, Mandy Trapp, had sort of said, everything happens for an opportunity. And I'm like, hand up, everything happens for a reason. And she's like, I'm going to invite you to think about that a little differently, because when you look into reason, you're looking into the past. You're looking for why did that happen? And when you look for a why, there's sometimes a blame there. And nothing good lives in blame. You live in that story and you continue to ruminate and try to hold somebody accountable. And that is actually a wound. That is not healing. That's not acceptance of what happens. So when we look for a reason and we say everything happens for a reason, it's a bit spiritually bypassing a little bit, and it also is quite negative in that we are looking at the past and then we stay in the past. Nothing good comes from the past. When we live in the past, we create more of the past. Your brain sees the past as evidence of what is true, but the past is just an experience that you've had. It's not actually the truth. It is just your experience. An example of that is if you went skiing and fell down every time you went down runs, you might think that skiing sucks and nobody can ski. I can't ski. That sucks. And yet, someone else who went skiing the first time and got up on two skis and thought, wow, this is cool. Look at what I can do. And skiing is exhilarating. So it's not a universal experience. Your experience is just your experience. It's not the experience of everyone who's ever done the things that you've done. That's not universal. It's yours. And we get to have our experiences in life, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when we start to universalize them and we create beliefs around them, now we start to bring ourselves into programming. And that programming of the past continues to recreate these patterns over and over again in your life until something comes along that makes you rethink that pattern. And it can be a heart attack. It can be a car accident. It can be a cancer diagnosis. It could be someone close to you passing away. There is always meaning and opportunity in death. Always. Spirit does not just use that opportunity of transition because, that's it. It's death. Bye. It's actually got ramifications. There's opportunities to heal right before someone takes their last breath. Even if they took their last breath suddenly, then there's opportunities to heal afterwards. There's funerals. There's people coming together that probably haven't been together in a long time because funerals bring people together. Or it could exacerbate situations, especially if there's fights over money and wills and all of that stuff. So it is another kind of catapults us into life lessons as well. Every passing has opportunity. Everything happens for an opportunity. So when we say everything happens for an opportunity, we are now looking into the future. What could be created from this? What is meant to come of this now? You start to get curious and wonder, I wonder why this is happening. Someone in my family had a cancer diagnosis a while ago, and it was galloping cancer, and this person is very spiritual in my family as well. And so when they told me, I was like, wow, I wonder what this is meant to teach us. And this person's like, exactly. I wonder what this is going to bring about in our family, because we both knew this was not meant to take their life. We knew that in that moment. So we knew that this person was going to heal. And again, there's no, reasoning for that. The doctor didn't say like this is going to be curable, nothing. They were actually still in the discovery phase of that. But we just knew, because we're both super psychic, that this was meant to bring about some massive changes. And it did. It brought about huge changes that were really, really positive and changed the trajectory of our entire family. It was wonderful. Cancer was actually wonderful for my family. And not every family can say that it will take lives. We were lucky that we did not have that this person is in remission now and still alive. And cancer is sometimes meant to be your end of life. It's meant to take you to the spirit world. And remember, taking your last breath isn't the end, right? It is a transition. And that that diagnosis in itself catapults massive changes, massive healing, but also massive grief. That's why I really enjoy being a grief counselor, because I know as you're moving through grief, there is massive transformation and huge rewards on the other side of it. And when you're ready, right, when you're ready to move through those stages, there is not a rhyme or reason. There is not a prescribed path. There's not a prescribed timeline. We move through grief in our own way, in our own time. So, spirit is always walking with you. Spirit is always here. The universe, God, creator, your ancestors, your guides. There's so many unseen characters in your life that are supporting you. And you're not going through any of these things at all by yourself. So I wanted you to know about 5 things that Spirit wants you to know right now. I literally channel this from Spirit. I've seen this in many of my readings. It's been coming up in lots of my meetings and my counseling sessions, my coaching sessions over this last 3 weeks. It's very, very loud. So the number one message is you are always being guided. Even when you feel lost, you are on the right path. You are always being guided. And a really wonderful way to know that you're being guided is to start watching for messages, start watching for synchronicities and signs. And I was recently doing a live, and two crows just, it was so, it looked like the Air Force doing a drive by, a flyby. And I was like, wow, two crows just kind of like, it was very majestic. And then I heard Spirit say, look it up. So I looked up the spiritual meaning of the spirit guides of crow, and the message that it had for the collective that I was reading for in that moment was very potent and hit bang on for everybody in the group. So wild. Like the universe is always bringing you these wonderful signs and synchronicities if you are willing to look at them, because there's no such thing as coincidence. There was no coincidence that, oh, crows all of a sudden just flew overhead, like two of them flying in a V over my house. Like that doesn't happen. So that really caught my eye, and I was like, let's look that up. Or all of a sudden you look at the clock and it's 222. And you're like, that's interesting. And then you keep seeing twos everywhere, twos in license plates, twos on TV, twos in timings of things. Look that up and see what it has to say. And actually chat GPT the spiritual meaning of 222 and see what it says for you. Or look up the numerology of 222 and see what it says. And look at if it resonates for you. Everything is happening for an opportunity. There is no such thing as coincidence or just, oh, it's just happening random. There's no such thing as random. Like it is actually happening for you for a reason to help you out. You are always being guided. So watch for the breadcrumbs. And it's really easy when you look back in life to see, oh, that's why I was meant to do that, or that's why I came to this part of my life. Like I've told the story before of I thought I was going to be a lawyer because I failed statistics or calculus, one of those mathy type of classes on my second semester in my first year of university. And I had to make up the credits to keep my scholarship because my scholarship relied on credits. So I took Law 300 for non law students in intersessions to get the credits. And I loved it. I aced it. I top of my class. The teacher loved me. I loved it. It was great. I'm like, I'm going to be a lawyer. That was it. Right. Again, I failed that class, not a coincidence, not random. It was not meant for me. It actually redirected. And I failed the class, y'all, with an 83%. You're like, how is that even possible? I went for tutoring. I got all the extra questions. Like I tried my hardest, 83%. The average for that class was 95% on the final exam. So on the bell curve, I got a 1. I failed it based on the bell curve, not on my knowing of it. How unjust is that? I actually pled my case at the registrar's office that this is not fair. 83%, like that is considered honors in high school. And he said, ma'am, you're not in high school. Yeah, obviously. So, what's meant for you always finds you, and you're always being guided. Even when I felt lost, I was like, okay, well, now I need that to be in med. And so I'm not meant to be in med, obviously. So, what am I supposed to be in? And then when I took the law class, I was like, that's it. I'm going to be a lawyer. So, I switched into business and my major became business law and economics. So, I'm an economics major and HR minor, and finished off that easily. Loved it. Applied for law school, did not do well on the law entrance exam, 50th percentile. So I did better than 50% of the people that wrote that day, and I did not as well as 50% who wrote the test. So in the middle, smack dab in the middle. I'm like, no, I'm not deterred. I'm going to try again. And I did the Kepler exams. I got a tutor. I wrote all the exams. I was sitting in the law library, I was pretending like I'm a lawyer, embodying the principles of lawyer, and wrote the exam again, 50th percentile. Again, if I'm not anything, I'm consistent, So I knew that was not my path to move forward in that direction. And so I was like, okay, what's this? What am I supposed to do? And then, okay, I'll do an after degree in something and get to law. So I applied for an after degree in criminology and an after degree in English lit at the U of A and UBC respectively. My then boyfriend came and proposed to me. So I moved to Vancouver to live with him and went to UBC and hated the first week. Hated it. I knew I wasn't supposed to be there, and then withdrew and got my money out. So again, the universe was showing me where I'm supposed to go to Vancouver. I knew I was supposed to be there because all the roads led there. My husband proposed to me. I got into UBC there, so off I went in that direction. But then I'm not meant to be in university there. So I would not have gone to Vancouver had I not gotten into UBC, because my career path I still felt was supposed to be law. So but I knew I was supposed to be with my husband because that's where I wanted to be with him. And we always had so much fun together. We lived really well together. Even now, 25 years later, we're still like have so much fun. I'm so lucky to have met my soulmate, and it's been wonderful. And every path part of the way, I was meant to be guided. I was guided, perfectly guided. I was never really lost, even though I felt lost. And I tried a bunch of jobs out there. I was serving at the keg at night to make some money. And and then the job opportunity came about of becoming the purchasing manager at the Keg. The woman who was working with my husband worked at Keg head office, and the woman who was working with him did not do a good job of her at her job at all. She was actually had a marketing background, but was trying to do purchasing, and my background was like easily suited to purchasing with my business background. My all the times that I've worked in the restaurant, my dad worked in the restaurant. He's a hotel chef, so I applied for the job and I got it. And then that was my first big career job, being the purchasing manager for Keg Restaurants head office. And it was amazing. I had a fantastic boss. I We had such a great time. My husband and I got to travel together and work together. It became our life. It was so much fun. And then we got married and we had a child. And then everything changed. So, when you think back, when I look back on it, I was being guided the entire time. But I felt lost. I was like, what am I going to do with my life? Maybe I go for HR, and I tried HR jobs, and that was definitely not for me. And I just knew when I knew things didn't fit, and I didn't stay there because I knew it wasn't a fit. I wasn't meant to be in places when I just know this is not no. And I left. So that was something I think is one of my gifts. And I'm going to encourage it in you, is like, when you notice that something isn't right, how long does it take you to step out of it? How long does it take you? Or are you super stubborn and you're like, no, universe, I'm going to make this work? If I had continued to try to get into law, I would have continued to hit my head on a door that was closed. It was locked, not for me. So the universe is always guiding you, even when you feel lost. Remember that. Number two, fear is an illusion designed to keep you safe and stuck. Fear is an illusion designed to keep you safe and stuck. So there's two different kinds of fear. Okay, let's be honest. There's a real fear, like if I step over the cliff, I'm going to die. That's real fear. And fear is if I speak up on social media, I will be judged and people will come for me. That's actually not a truth. I mean, it's a fear for you based on your history, and that is a feeling of real perceived fear for you is real, but it's not a tiger going to come eat you. It's a perceived fear. So we have to understand what is a perceived fear and what's a real fear. Fear is keeping you stuck. If I was scared of who would I be if I'm not going to be a lawyer, or if I was scared that who am I going to be if I'm not going to be a doctor? My parents really want me to be a doctor. I might have pushed through and tried to do another stats class, and then I would have been in more pain and more pain. It's going to create more pain. When you try to act from a place of fear, you will get more pain. Fear is actually an illusion. I want you to think of yourself as like you're projecting yourself, your soul is projecting itself into this 3D reality. You are playing a part in a play. That is it. And when you take your last breath, you will step into the world of energy, and you'll go back into your soul self, and now you will start again. Or you can hang around and help people that you love and let them know that you're here. And time is a weird construct. Time does not exist in spirit. So this is a blip. It's like a zit on the ass of humanity. Like it's literally just it's not to say that that says time, but it really is just a blip in time. It's not a big deal. For us, it's a big deal. I mean, 100 years is 100 years. In spirit, it's like it goes fast. So fear is an illusion designed to keep you safe and stuck. And why it keeps you safe is because you feel like if I never speak up, then I'll never be no one will target me, no one will come for me. I literally was just talking about this in a manifestation challenge I just did. Uh, we were talking about when I first launched my Facebook page. I was so scared to declare that I was a psychic medium out in the world. And I knew I had to do it. I knew I had to. My coach was like, when is that going to happen? I'm like, I know what's going to happen. And I had it all ready to go, curated all my posts, pictures, everything. And I hit publish and I closed the computer and I turned everything off and I went away. And then about a few hours later, I came back to check the post and I was like, oh God, I'm going to get trolls. I know it. I can feel it. People are going to come for me. And it was message after message of congratulations, Sheetal. We knew it all along. Finally, you're out of the closet. Oh my God, remember when you were the palm reader in grade 5? I was like, oh my God, I forgot about that. Not one of my friends or people who have ever known me came down on me at all. Did anyone unfollow me? I don't know. Maybe. I couldn't care less, actually, now that I think about it. But you know who came for me? Were the people who thought. So my Facebook business page is Story of Spirit Medium. And so I didn't have the courage to say she tell story because I don't want people to know who I am. Um, so I put Story of Spirit Medium. So people thought that Story of Spirit was a writing literature page that you come to write your story. So I kid you not, like 5 trolls that were like, this is a sham, you're fake, this is supposed to be a writing page. I was like, no, it's not. This is a psychic mediums page. I created it. They're like, your name is fake. I was like, no, it's not. I actually married into it. Like, why do I have to justify this to you? And it was so interesting to deal with it, to see myself even dealing with it. I was trying to explain and I didn't have to. I ended up just deleting them and blocking them from my page because I realized I'm like, they're never going to be a client and they're never going to hear any messages I have for them. So bye. So the fear was actually an illusion of being seen. That wasn't real. I hope you can see that in your life where fear keeps you stuck. Then, message number 3 is your dreams are divinely inspired. Trust them. Your dream, if it's desired by you, it is destined for you. Spirit doesn't give you dreams randomly. Your spirit isn't born with these dreams randomly. Every person has a dream for themselves. I literally met somebody a long time ago, and they're like, their dream was to have a landscaping company. I laugh because if you know me, I'm not an outdoorsy person. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. Okay. Nature and me, we're allergic to each other. And you're like, you're spiritual. I'm like, I know. I prescribe going out and putting your feet in the grass all the time. But not for me. I'm actually allergic to grass. So my feet will break out in hives. I do not like the feeling of grass on my feet. I know. And you'll be like, what, Cheetal? I'm like, there's no judgment. I love nature. I love nature from a window, y'all. I do. It's so beautiful. And I can feel the nature's energy filling me up, even from when I'm in a window, from a window. Have I been in nature? And yes, I've camped. Yes. Is it joyful for me? No, it is not ever. Mosquitoes, I swell up from mosquito bites. It really isn't a joyful experience for me. And we love nature from a window. Yeah. So that the dream of being a landscaper will never be in my heart. That is not meant for me. If you have a dream of being a landscaper, or you love being outside, or you love camping, go do it. It's meant for you. It's not meant for me. And there's no judgment from me at all. I am so neutral on that. It is about what you desire. Your dreams are divinely inspired. Trust them. They're not random, they are meant for you. Number 4, resting is not failing. It is recalibration. I have I have embodied this lesson now. I like to have white space in my calendar, not free space, because free space can be put something in there. You can schedule something into free space. But white space is like elbows up. We're not going to let anything come into that white space. It is white space for a reason. I don't want to have any clients. I don't want to have in that space. I don't want to have any friends in that space. I don't want to have any family appointments in that space. I just want to have free space. And maybe I have a nap. Maybe I watch a Hallmark movie. Maybe I make myself a really delicious lunch and I just sit in the beauty of this white space. Does it? Right? Not every moment has to be dictated. It has to be scheduled. I went from that, the last few years, and now I'm really practicing this resting is not failing. I take naps during the week now. I used to feel really guilty about that. And that comes from working in corporate, obviously, and working from home, in a corporate job. I would not ever take naps because it felt like I was sleeping on company time. And that is something that corporate kind of does. And it's so interesting because my mom used to work for the government, and they would have designated nap times if you wanted. There was a nap pod that people could go and have naps, and it was quiet. There was actually little nap pods. They would have pillows and blankets and stuff that would get laundered. So the government even sees the beauty in rest, in the afternoon. She would take a little siesta, she calls it, and then, come back to work refreshed. It's really helpful. Nothing in nature continuously expands. Nothing in nature continuously expands except cancer. It's the only thing that continuously expands because it doesn't have anything that stops it. So when we think that we should be continuously expanding, continuously producing, continuously doing things for other people, we are now in the mode of depletion, and we are in a wound. We are in a trauma response that we have to justify our value. We have to justify our being, belonging. Put your word in there. What are you justifying? What are you proving by always feeling like you have to be on, have to be doing, have to be always doing for other people? Because when you are depleted, you are good to no one. No one on their deathbed says, I wish I had worked more. Like, no one. So, where are you not resting? Resting is not failing, it is recalibration because it is in the white space. And this is why I make it now such a non negotiable on my calendar. In the white space is where creativity and inspiration can meet you. You cannot hear your spirit. Inspiration is in spirit, right? To be inspired by your spirit, to be inspired by creator. And if you can't have the space, you don't have the space, you can't be inspired. You can't be in your creativity. You're so busy in doing, you actually fall to that base layer of Maslow's hierarchy of needs of just safety and surviving. And nothing good lives there. So resting, put it in your calendar. It is necessary. And then message number 5, you are more powerful than you even realize. You have more gift and more talent than you will ever realize in your lifetime. That's how much Spirit has given you before you came here. The boundless power and gifts and opportunities in your soul. It is magnificent. If you could see it, I can see it in people's souls. And I try to hold that vision for you, with you. I believe in you before you can believe in yourself sometimes. And I have a coach that believes in me before I can believe in myself, even. We need that in our lives. I don't have it all together, y'all. I mean, I was learning all these lessons too. This, you are more powerful than you realize. That's, I think there's a Marianne Williamson quote, is our biggest fear is that we are more powerful than we know what to do with, or something like that. I'm totally doing that an injustice, but it is true that you're the energy of your soul, the energy of your mind, your brilliance, the ability of your body. You can literally make it do anything if you put your mind to it. You could heal it now if you are struggling with your health. There is ways that you can heal it in ways that are, yes, using Western medicine, but also using Eastern medicine and energy and emotions and understanding where they're held in the body. You are so powerful. You could really do anything. I literally just got off a call with some coaches where I was reminding them how powerful they are, because they are. We forget when we get stuck in this 3D story, or thinking this is our reality, or something bad happens, and we're like, what's this again? And new level, same devil is what I like to say. The old saying is new level, new devil. It's not. It's new level, same devil. You're seeing your old patterns in new ways as you ascend in your life, as you get more successful, as you get happier, as you realize you need less in your life. There are people that are not going to like that. And that's okay. That's not their life. When you take your last breath, you're not going to say, I wish I had catered to everybody else's whims. Really think about these things in your life and see how you can apply these 5 messages. So, the 5 things that Spirit wants you to know right now: you are always being guided, even when you feel lost. Look for the breadcrumbs. Fear is an illusion designed to keep you safe and stuck. What is the perceived fear and what's the real fear? Your dreams, number three, is your dreams are divinely inspired. Trust them. They are designed for you because they are destined for you. They're your desire, they're not mine. And number four is resting is not failing, it is recalibration. Rest is needed for growth on the next cycle, right? We have winter for a reason. Everyone, you're going to go through these cycles. I'm going to do another podcast on cycles because it is so important. We have the summer where you are in bloom. Then you have fall where you start to contract. Then you have winter where you are in recalibration and rest. Then we have spring when we are now blooming again and growing. So we need all four stages. We need all four seasons of the cycle. You go through seasons. Women, we go through our seasons once a month. Men go through their seasons once every 24 hours. Wild, right? The world is designed for men. You go to sleep, you wake up the next day, let's go. You be on your period and they're like, suck it up, lady. You could have just had a baby. They're like, suck it up, lady, because we're not meant to operate on a 24-hour cycle. So that cycle is really, really important. Resting is not failing, it is recalibration. And number five, you are more powerful than you realize. I realize your power. I see you. I am so excited for the world and the time that we are in here together. Thank you for joining me on this podcast. I hope these 5 principles messages hit on your heart. And again, if it's not meant for you, it's meant for someone else in your life. So please share this with someone who might be struggling right now. And let's show them that there's more to life than this 3D world. You have agency, you are powerful. Let's go. The world needs you now more than ever. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Story of Spirit podcast. I hope you have found inspiration, support, and practical insights to help you align with your soul-led purpose and live a life that sets your soul on fire. If you have enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, and share it with a friend. Your support helps us to reach more listeners and continues to provide valuable content. I sincerely appreciate every share, and I know it is how most people find me. It is because caring people like you have shared me with them at the right and perfect time. For more resources, insights, and to connect with our community, please visit us at www.sheetalstory.com and follow us on Instagram at sheetalstory. Remember, your journey to a more aligned and vibrant life is just the beginning, and I am here to support you every step of the way. Until next time, stay aligned, stay inspired, and keep shining your beautiful light. This is Sheetal Story, signing off from the Story of Spirit podcast. Here's the legal ease that's required by our lawyers. This podcast and the YouTube channel represents the opinions of Sheetal Story and her guests to the show. The content should not be taken as medical, psychological, or financial advice. This series is informational and entertainment purposes only. Because each person is so unique, please consult your healthcare professional, your mental health dream team, your financial advisor, or anyone else that's an expert in the field in where you are thinking of making big choices in your life.